Chapter 98, Letter of Invitation. Templars defeated. Every country bordering the Jura Forest soon heard this news. It was preposterous to think that they could have secretly invaded without being seen. Moreover, countries that had relations with Tempest could hardly believe that their intelligence gathering teams were negligent. Of course, Rimuru was aware that these countries were sending spies, which is why he had ordered a victory that produced the fewest casualties. And country executives realized this fact. After all, the fact that none of the knights were killed only proved their hypothesis. For example, in the Dwarf Kingdom military nation Dwargon, the ministers gathered upon the Dwarf King's request. They were analyzing a recorded image while scrutinizing every bit of data they could acquire, with every minister having access to the said information. The data they had acquired disclosed the matters of the battle. The results were rather surprising. 100 Knights Templar, believed to be the strongest among humans, planned an invasion of the country. However, Demon Lord Rimuru had intercepted this plan, and his response left the Knights completely defeated. How truly terrifying the Demon Lord Rimuru's information-gathering skills are. Certainly, no less terrifying than his ability to strategize. So murmured the ministers. However, was it as they said? The Dwarf King looked over the data, and his sight fell upon a bizarre pattern of movements displayed by the combatants. Was this not supposed to devolve into a haphazard encounter between the forces? Such a thought came to his mind. Actually, that's the only possibility he could have imagined, no matter how much anyone claimed that the altered terrain caused the knights to dance in the palm of Rimuru's hand. It should have had no bearing on the actual combat. If so, he was actually constantly staying aware of Hinata's plans, while modifying the strategy to sway the battle in his favor. And as a result, by controlling every aspect of the battle, the knights were completely defeated. Unfortunately, since the recording magic is rather limited, the dwarfs could only lament the lack of a comprehensive report. That is, it could only produce a soundless spectacle of the battlefield. Nor could it analyze the skills used at most. It helped identify the winner. Even so, the data they gathered is certainly of grave importance. Thus, he scrutinized it again. Captain-class knights were seen moving in various directions with some plan in mind. The Tempest department heads intercepted, resulting in combat. The result was a total war across all fronts and a complete victory for Tempest. Among these battles, it was noted that a single monster could overwhelm 8 knights, much of the dwarf's surprise. Considering that these knights were at least of captain class, it is best to assume that Monster Country Tempest easily surpasses the military might of Dwargon. The ministers noisily grumbled about this, while King Gazelle Dwargo sighed in relief. He was truly glad that Demon Lord Rimuru was an idealistic monster who sought friendship with the humans. Had he been a monster who sought to destroy humanity, humans would have faced an unprecedented calamity. Besides, he's growing too fast was Gazelle's true thoughts. He had thought Rimuru to be full of potential when they had first met, but he had never considered that he could progress this far. Should he have destroyed him then? He could not come up with an answer. For better or worse, this demon lord was interesting, and they currently have a cooperation pact and will be proceeding on friendly terms in the future. Moreover, thanks to his world traveler ideals, he has been developing some interesting contraptions, sparing no time nor effort, and aligning himself with no other world traveler. Perhaps such is the true strength of this demon lord. His movements have thus produced some interesting results, and the many skills and technologies developed, thus the dwarfs are able to obtain without lifting a finger. So Gazelle decided, even if the angels destroy him, the dwarfs will not allow the technology to be lost. Of course, they will probably become more and more militaristic in the future. But oh well, how much joy the dwarfs felt from all the inventions that came from that country. At this point, we have no choice but to trust Demon Lord Rimuru. Besides, he had released all the knights unharmed this time. This could be interpreted as seeking to coexist with the humans. Had he intended to fight them, he could have massacred the knights. After all, who can complain that an invading force was destroyed? And yet, he had let them leave completely unharmed. This could also be interpreted to mean that he had the confidence that Knight Templar class soldiers are of no threat to him. This is causing quite a division among the ministers, some calling him a danger, others rejecting that notion. Both are probably correct, but there's only one decision. Gazelle cleared his throat and thus got everyone's attention. The conference room was completely silent, with every gaze focused on the king. That demon lord seeks to coexist with humans, so as much as possible we will support him. That is the official position of military nation Dwargon. The Dwarf King's declaration reverberated through the hall. The ministers bowed their heads and accepted their lord's will. Thus the policy was decided. The specific measures would now be drafted by excellent individuals. Whether this was a right or wrong decision, he could not have known. But the Dwarf King had no regrets. And then another report was brought to the king. Your Majesty, Rigurdo Dono has sent an announcement. It seems that they are planning on holding an event to make known the ascension to make known the ascension of a new demon lord and seek our presence. While this might be a political force, however, they are simply trying to appeal to countries they are friendly with. Doesn't seem like they actually expect our presence, so how should we respond? Oh, about that, Bester also mentioned something. Tempest, it seems, is planning on holding a tournament, probably a show to go along with the announcement. What will we do? If we plan to attend, they have requested that we notify them in advance. Speaking of, there is limited number of seats, and the city is bound to be crowded that day, so they have asked to promptly answer them. Bester's question was brought up along with this report. The Dwarf King pondered for a second. Actually, what the hell is that stupid demon lord planning? Hosting a tournament now of all time. Completely unpredictable, hence amusing. The Dwarf King struggled to keep a smile from surfacing. He could not break his facade before the ministers. You bastard making me suffer, so I like it. Stifling the joy with a hint of anger, he announced his decision. We will attend the ceremony and the tournament, he said. The ministers had not at all expected such a response, but this was the decision of their king. With the meeting decided, they quickly started to prepare for the journey. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Sorcerer Dynasty Sarion, the Emperor's castle, a beautiful garden full of rare life spread behind it. Keeping up the garden provided numerous benefits for the dynasty, to say nothing of income made from it. In other words, it was the source of the dynasty's pocket money. The entire garden was maintained without a penny from the taxes. Two beings relaxed inside this garden. One was Duke Elalud, father of adventurer Ellen, and one of the three leaders of this country, and the being who was sitting across from him. This being is the only one with a higher standing than Duke Elalud in the entire kingdom, Empress Ilumecia Iluresarion herself. With a beautiful feminine face, well, she is a woman after all. She has elf blood flowing through her veins and thus doesn't age. Asking the Empress how old she is considered a taboo. She has the body of a girl who has just reached adulthood, with skin as white as fresh snow. Long pointed ears easily distinguish her from anyone else. The glance of her slanted jade eyes pierce into the very soul of the person before her, and long pale blue silver hair falls gently over her cheeks. Duke Elalud was once entranced by the beauty she embodied, but was able to regain his mind after considering his wife's and daughter's wrath. And with a short prayer, he faced the Empress, the one so gracefully sitting upon the cushion across from him. Your Majesty, regarding the monster country I have reported on previously, we have received an announcement, he said, and taking out a letter from his breast pocket, handed it to the Empress. He checked that it was safe, and as for its contents, he would rather not say them himself. He knew all too well that the Empress hated to have people learn things before her. But having become a demon lord is great and all, but why announce it? And here is the question. The letter was addressed to Duke Elalud. Normally, there was no need to let the Empress know about it, but it read, please let us know how many people will participate, and that means that any number of guests are invited. So if he doesn't let the Empress know and goes by himself, she'll just get mad at him again, and he would rather that not happen. After all, when he left on a mission to free his daughter from the clutches of an evil demon lord, he received a stern scolding. Here's what she said. You bastard, how dare you leave your lord's side? I can't believe that such an interesting slime exists until I see it personally. Moreover, to witness a birth of a demon lord which even I have never seen, I'm so it's ridiculous to have missed such a you don't even know the danger you were facing. What a fool. And she became depressed. Oh, and only Elalud ever saw Empress act like this. She appears as a cold-hearted individual to the other ministers, and is even feared as the doll Empress, like a sheep in wolf's clothing. Elalud always wants to retort, so he perfectly understood how angry she would have been had he gone off by himself this time. Moreover, they even claimed to conduct a tournament at this occasion. If he left her behind, her anger would be unimaginable. Currently, due to her sulking, he has yet to establish technological cooperation with that country. So if her mood improves, maybe they'll finally be able to finalize those details. There's another important point. He had confirmed that Tempest had fought against the Templars recently. He had worried about how they will fare against them, but surprisingly, they didn't just completely defeat them all, they also released every knight, basically claiming to have overwhelming confidence in themselves. They could perhaps be countries that try to appear weak with only the leaders aware of the true strength. But even so, to hold a tournament now of all times can only be interpreted as an event to flaunt their strength. Well, since this allows Sarian to measure their strength, it is crucial that they participate. But to bring the Empress to such an event would create a myriad problems, and he was certain that he himself would have to solve all of them. Empress Illumecia returned the letter. Elelud gulped in anticipation. Your Majesty, how shall we respond? He hesitantly asked, with a wide smile on her face. How indeed? She was just putting on airs. He could easily predict her next words, but still waited for them. In hearing an unexpected response, Duke Elelud would spend the next days without any sleep, busy with preparations. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. In the small country, Brumon's trading house, Muir Miles was getting tired of the person talking to him. As a merchant, he could tell a person's personality with a single glance. Those coming for money, those coming with new business opportunity. There's also fallen nobles who come proposing dubious deals. Among all these fools, there may be someone with legitimate proposal, so he can't leave this job to anyone else. While thinking this, he dismissed the swindler before him and called forth the new guest. A handsome man entered, but Muir Miles would not be deceived. This man too was a fallen noble who, ha- who had once tried to sell some junk at high price using his name. He probably came with another idea and is seeking money. But if anything, he is a noble. Miles verified this himself. So rudeness towards a true noble could be fatal, which makes this job all the harder. Another stupid idea, is it? He thought and inquired the guest. And he was right. It really was rubbish. In short, I'll open a new store using my slaves to give me money, he said. Frankly, he can't see this idea succeeding. A store needs a lot more than cute girls to be successful. Research the market and the buyers, consider the location, and pay for the girls' children. Just because they are slaves does not mean they will work for free. They need food and shelter after all. There's also initial costs to consider. Opening a brothel also requires one to consider the chance for disease to spread. If it does, not only the noble but Yormaz himself would be indicted. So this is not something he could accept. My, what a discerning eye you have, Kazak-sama. But regarding these female slaves, that would prove impossible, wouldn't it? Human slave trade has been forbidden and opening a store with illegal slaves would be. Oh, about that. Here's the thing. All is solved when a noble pays the right people some money. So, oh, and this is a secret, but those slaves are elves, he said in a haughty manner. Muir Miles got a heartburn just listening to Count Kazak, but stifled his displeasure. As a merchant, he can't show a customer displeasure. Even a novice merchant knows that. So how should he refuse him? And the moment he began to say something, Yo, how have you been, Muir Miles-kun? The door burst open, and in walked a person while greeting him. A beautiful girl, boy, with silver hair, golden eyes walked in. Who can possibly be here? Could it be Rimurudana? A profoundly surprised voice escaped his lips. Huh? Didn't Rimurudana become a demon lord? So Fusizama had said. And he is not wearing a mask. So he was this cute without it? These thoughts filling his head, he had completely forgot about Count Kazak, and then he heard, Please wait, Master is currently with a guest. A panicking attendant attempted to stop him. Chances are he had missed Rimuru coming in and was too late in stopping him. What a failure. But chances are he wouldn't have been able to stop him anyways. So Miles could hardly get angry at the attendant. Sorry, you were with a guest, huh? Well, then I'll wait in your store. And flashing an insincere smile, Rimuru added, Pardon my rudeness. Nah, my bad. And leaving everyone dumbfounded, he left. Afterwards, Miles ended the discussion with Count Kazak and cleared his schedule for the rest of the day. A great wave was beginning to move the world. What was more important, Miles was not a fool who could not understand that much. He was certainly a person who could find ore within a stone. But there was something he could create, even if he were to abandon everything. A short acquaintanceship, but large profit, that didn't matter. Most important was his obligation to consider the long-term benefit of his business partners, fellow merchants. He had intended to visit himself when things calmed down. That is, he has heard that after becoming a demon lord, Rimuru has gone off to attend Walpurgis banquet, so he could hardly take any action until he was sure of the changes. And yet, the person himself had visited as if nothing had changed. So meeting with this person was by far the most important thing he had to do. Remembering every strategy he knows and hiding the pure joy that was filling his heart, Muir Miles rushed to his store. What wicked plan would he propose today? And thus, Muir Miles' tedious days would come to an end. End of chapter 98.